Reggie got Indiana. And he was.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
It's crazy how he was making the cuts, making it.
Why is he not better than him?
So everybody take a seat. We think it's sports, but sometimes we don't know. We asking.
All right, everybody. Yes, we are back. It's your boy Mike D, and we think it's a sports show, and we back for another edition of the Blacklist. Last week we had, we did physical fitness with Miss Body Language, and today I'm so happy that today we talking mental health is one of the biggest things in the Black community that we need to work on. So we have a great guest to get into that, but before I get there, let me check in with my brother, my guy, A1 since day 2. Rad, what's going on, bro? How you feeling?
I'm good, bro. I'm excited about this interview, this episode, because when you hit me up and said he's interviewing our guest, I was what she does being a therapist. I was excited because I always wanted to talk to one. I always wanted to I just had a lot of questions. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh wow, that's dope. And she our peer, we know her, you know what I mean? We go back to high school, so it's even better. It was like, oh, this is even better. That's not even like I'm talking to some stranger, you know what I mean? So I was super excited for this. So but let you finish to introduce our guest. So I'm just ready and get to the interview.
Look at Rad trying to use this as a free chance to get some therapy session. This is an interview, Rad. You're like,
right?
I got some demons I gotta talk about. Hold on.
Right. You ready? I'm about to get on my couch, man. What's good? Nah.
But yes, let's introduce the guest. I don't even want to call you my homie, we go back. I call your mom. Like, right, it's been plenty of times. Like, I know your family for so long because they live on Cortland. To the fact that when you was over there, I'm like, what are you doing over here? Like, why are you on Cortland? I'm like, what you like? Why are you on Cortland? So I thought that was dope. But yes, we got Jamiere. That's what I love about tech. Whatever we need, we can find somebody that went to tech that's doing something dope. Yes, and I'm so happy to have Jamiere here with us. How are you doing today, Jamiere?
Hi, guys. So I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for inviting me on your podcast. I really felt like really special because I've seen them through the timeline and stuff. And I'm just like, so you're like, you want to come on? I was just like, you sure?
Like me, little me? We ain't that big.
Make it we hot.
We hot. Yeah, overdue bills. Get your merch. So we're gonna do a little quick question and answer conversation, just catch up, talk about what we can do on our platform, what you are doing to really bring light to mental health in the Black community. But before we get into the questions, I just want to ask you, how are you doing with your mental health? We went through a crazy 2020, 2021 didn't start like it was going to be better. With everything that was going on in politics and just everything that's going on. How are you doing?
I'm steady. I think that's the best way to describe it because Corona did come and change life for everybody and especially for therapists because most of the time, most of our work was in office. So then we had to go from all in office to now all right, you got 4 days to get all your shit, get to your house and have it all ready to start with clients on video chat and phone calls. So it was just a lot of shuffling that happened really quickly. And so I've been fully telehealth doing video chats and phone calls since last March. So it'll be coming up on a year of me doing telehealth versus the in-person. So I'm steady because, my clients are my clients.
I hear that. So Rad, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. I just want, I guess before we get too far ahead, just tell us, how you tell us what you are, how you chose that field and what led to you being, becoming a therapist.
Okay.
It's me on Cortland telling her all my troubles back in the day.
You was her first. You was her tester.
I was the beta user.
Got to spark the idea from you on Cortland. That's what's up.
So, as of right now, my title is that I'm a mental health counselor. I'm currently working to be like officially licensed, but Corona kicked that plan out a little bit because I had planned to take my test. And then Corona came and they were like, so we close all testing centers. And so I was like, okay, well, clearly there will be no test happening. So now I'm just hoping to be able to schedule it soon. And then when that's done, I'll be a licensed mental health counselor. And I came to it because y'all probably already knew from high school, a lot of people came and like talked to me about their stuff.
Grandma Jamiere.
All the time. The text messages, the phone calls coming to my locker, like stopping me. Like I got so used to it and it felt like right for me. And so I was like, maybe this is something I should pursue. And so I think I did my major second semester of freshman year. And then like I went from there. And then I got my bachelor's and then my master's.
Oh, dope. All right. Shout out to you. That's awesome. I figured I was curious. I was hoping Rad asked that, or if not, I was going to ask it because I'm always curious about people that choose a profession like this. Is it something that they just grow up and they know, or is it kind of like they figure out, well, I'm pretty good at this? Like for me, engineering, it's not that I loved it, but I was good at math. So it sounds like you love talking to people. So you said, I said you make a profession out of this and help people. So that's dope. So when you mix your passion with your profession, man, sky's the limit. So proud of you. Shout out to you.
Works perfectly.
so let's get right into it. I don't even want to pussyfoot around, and we here to talk about mental health in the Black community. So let's get right into it.
Okay.
So why do you think there is a negative stigma in like the Black community around mental health?
I think there's a stigma, first of all, just for healthcare in general, just because like, as we know, as Black people from the very beginning, like for us, it's been the worst thing ever for healthcare. And so when it comes to mental health, that even adds an extra level because people can forgive if you have a broken leg or a broken arm or stuff like that. But like, as soon as you say like, I have mental health issues, the first thing everybody thinks is like, oh, you crazy. You should be institutionalized or put in an asylum, which don't exist anymore, by the way. And so it's like, a lot of times you don't want to seem crazy because then everybody around you start, because people, they be whispering like, yo, she be going to a therapist now, they will come at people like that, like about like, oh, well, she's seeing somebody or she talking to somebody, so she crazy. And then like that pretty much has like carried down the whole way. Like it's a lot better. Like our generation is when it started to get better, but like the generation before, they were like, we're not crazy and we don't need white people telling us to do what to do or how things should get better.
Yeah. So so how much of an impact have that had on the Black community? Is it something that had huge, like, I don't know, based on family or friends, how many people should have went to had therapy that just didn't, that you was your own, growing up, obviously teenager, just doing your little pre-therapy things, but like how many people do you know that probably should have had therapy and it really wouldn't like affect their lives?
Yeah, those like Greek scrolls they used to have back in the day. If I can have a list, I would have one of those that I would like throw out and be like, where do you want to start?
Exactly.
Like, because I have a list. So yeah, a lot of people. I personally believe therapy benefits everyone, because a lot of times people think therapy is just if you're in crisis, like, oh, if somebody just died, or if I get severely depressed, or if there's a huge life change. The thing is like, therapy comes at all different levels. So you don't necessarily need to be like, well, my life isn't falling apart. Like sometimes you just need an outside party for your life because shit be going down. And like something like it's good to talk to family and friends, but sometimes they too invested to help you see things. So like
a lot of times the things I need to talk about involves family and friends. I can't tell y'all. I gotta tell somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So I agree, right? From being experimented on to whatever the case may be with the Black people, you see that with COVID, how we've been impacted, with physical fitness or physical health, just because a lot of people are like, I ain't going to a doctor, I don't trust them, they're gonna put me on pills. So how do we break that stigma then? Do you think, is it just education? Is it knowing somebody that went and understanding like, hey, I'm not crazy because I went. Like, how do we get more people to go?
I think it's more, I do believe in like education. So letting people know more of like what therapy is and what it involves. Because a lot of times everybody's image is the old white man in the chair with somebody laid up out on the couch. And that is not how that works. Ain't no
So
couch.
why is it
I
every
thought how
movie?
that worked. I thought
Yeah,
how.
why is it every movie?
I'm that person.
Yeah, every movie think that. Yeah, every movie says that, but it's like it's not like that at all. Like when we there, it's two chairs, we sit across from each other, and then we just talk. So it's like a lot of education on like what it actually is. Like you not coming in and somebody's like, let me psychoanalyze every single thing. Like it's a conversation. It's just a conversation, and someone else trying to learn about you. So more education, and then I think people learning, like you said, like being involved, like learning more people who are in therapy or who have had therapy or are, people that work in the mental health profession, because it's like this is great for me to be able to be here and speak on these kind of things, because it's like it's hard to get to the Black community. It really is, because we don't trust a lot of outside stuff, because when we did, then we got fucked over.
Yeah,
and so it's like, so trying to hear these people tell you about it, it doesn't make a difference. If a white lady is coming up to you telling you about this therapy practice that she thinks that work, y'all gonna look at her like, okay, and go away, white lady.
Okay, Karen.
Pretty much. Like, okay, Karen, you're gonna be like, no. But if you see somebody that looks like you, then you're more like, okay, so we could have experience here. So then that's a little better. So I think it's more Black people becoming mental health counselors too, because my God, we need them. We need them so bad. Like, because I love my job, but my field is very white. It's very, very white. So it would be good to have other Black people who can then come and talk to, and also like resources and things like that, just like in a community in general. So it's like there's like multiple steps, but the first step is just having somebody that looks like you educate you.
Yeah, I would think if there's a stigma around Black people going to a therapist, I doubt it's even smaller a crowd of people wanting to be a therapist. So that makes all the sense in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, because then it's like a lot of times, like for me, there are 3 out of the office I work out of. There are 3 Black people. 2 of us are younger, one of them is older. It's like when we get minority clients, sometimes, even though they don't necessarily say it, they like sometimes spread them up between us, or like they're like, they call searching like, can I have a Black therapist, or can I have an Hispanic therapist, or can I have this? And a lot of times they don't got that, because the field is dominated by white people, because Black people like, you ain't gonna tell me what I'm gonna do. Can you imagine? Nanny? Can you imagine meeting somebody going up to Nanny and telling her like, oh yeah, go to therapy, here's some materials, and here's my place of work? My grandmother would politely take them and throw them straight in the trash.
Right?
For sure.
So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of layers.
All right, you may go right. I can go. I want to stay with the Black community for now, and I just want to ask: did you see American Skin or Judas and the Black Messiah yet?
No, I haven't seen neither of them. I'm not a huge movie person all the time, so like I'm the type that like if a movie comes out, I'll like know about it, and I'm like I'll eventually watch it, and then it's like a year later once like the hype has gone down, because I'm just like, I mean, outside of Marvel, then that's a whole different story. But like that, like
the WandaVision episode just came out. Crazy.
WandaVision getting crazy.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So okay. But since you didn't see it, it doesn't matter, right? It's Black trauma. So, and that's what I want to ask, because I'll give you a little background. American Skin is almost like the young Black boy getting killed by a police officer, and then Judas and the Black Messiah about Fred Hampton, and pretty much how the FBI conspired to shut down those kids. I'm sure we're gonna talk about it on the our own podcast, the main one. But pretty much they had actors that was 30 years old playing these people. But in real life, these were like 18, 19-year-old kids that the FBI conspired to assassinate. So for somebody like me who is also in a predominantly white field in engineering, what do you say to that person that woke up today after watching American Skin and watching, Judas and the Black Messiah, after seeing George Floyd and Breonna Taylor happen in the summer? What do you say to that person that got to get up and be chummy with 95%, maybe conservative white counterparts?
Yeah. When you find that perfect answer, let me know. So then that way I can give it to you. Because I have not found that, because I'm not gonna lie. When some of that stuff was happening, you be side-eyeing people like, where you going with it? You be like, I don't know where you're gonna fall. So it's like, if you find that answer, please let me know, because then I will figure it out. But for me, I see it more as just, I'm gonna speak on me personally. I'm not gonna speak on what nobody else do. But for me, in stories like that, first of all, they're heartbreaking and extremely angering. And for me, it gives me more strength to be able to go to work and be like, for the people that have had these experiences, I want to be somebody that can be there as somebody who can understand that trauma, because Black trauma is very different from a lot of the other traumas that a lot of other cultures would not even begin to understand. And so it's like, Black trauma is very specific. And so for us in that, I'm like, okay, do I necessarily want to be in a field where it's majority white people? No. Do I wish there were minorities? Absolutely. But that's only going to start by somebody going in there and being that minority, like being in that office and being only like one of 3 Black people. Like that's how it starts. So knowing that, like, there's still going to be some side eye, because it is what it is. It's life.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's life. But also knowing, like, but there were times you try to keep me out this space. So now, because you still trying to do shit, I'm going to show up more even in your face to remind you, we still here.
I like that answer. That's a good answer.
So I got like a more personal question, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like how as a
here we go.
No, how you like when you talking to your clients and stuff like that. Like I listen, like me and Sean, her, my fiance, we had like she told me
Congrats on the engagement too.
Thank you.
Saw
Thank you so much.
And you get, yes, you did it right.
Shout out to Rad.
Respect, so Rad.
But she talked to me. We had conversations, not to get too much in her business, but like she said me how when she talking to people, her friends, her close, relatives, and they telling them all the things that's wrong in their life, and all, pretty much she being a therapist for them. And sometimes she carried that with her. Sometimes, she said she make their problems her problems. She like feel that, you know what I mean? She's not just listening. She literally like, harping all that stuff, holding it into her. So she feeling those, and it's having an effect on her. You know what I mean? So she's working, which is, dope that she even noticed this, but she's working to like not hold on to those problems, literally just listen, be an earpiece. And, so I'm sure it's like techniques that, real therapists have. So how do y'all like, not to give away your sauce or nothing like that, but how do you like not carry all that stuff when you listen to other people and like, hope and like, just be, I guess, a mirror.
I like that, Rad.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, it's taken a lot of practice. My first year was really rough because usually you see between the lowest usually is like people, I see 15 people. There are other people that see 20 people, 30 people, 40 people a week. Like, so it kind of depends on your load, and it's very hard. And Sean is probably like this, and she probably doesn't realize there's this thing called being an empath. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that. So basically what it is, the empath is one of those people who like feels like emotional things like very deep. And so like she said, like she's not the one with a bad boyfriend that's going through stuff, but she's thinking about her friend and can feel her friend's feelings. And that really what an empath is somebody who like picks up on those feelings and like take them to themselves. And it's taking a lot of training, but it's like one of the biggest things is always remembering, like, my favorite is not my circus, not my monkeys. Like, I can go to the circus and it's fun, but I don't got to take the monkeys home with me. And so that's kind of how I like separate it from myself. Like, remember, like, also like your crazy is not my crazy. And I'm very glad that your crazy is not my crazy. And also like, also limiting how much you talk to certain people about certain issues, like even in therapy, like not that we rush anyone, like somebody is able to talk about their issues as much as they need, but also knowing like this is your time. This is your time to talk. I talk to you Tuesday at 12 o'clock. We talk for 45 minutes to an hour. We go through that, and then you go out and you live your life. Like, so to remember, like, it's not your life. It's one small section of your life. It's not the whole one. Like, that's the other one. And then I have another coworker, who she's like way more spiritual. She does crystals and yogi and all this other
some
stuff.
sage going on in the office too.
Yeah, she can't do that. She white as hell, but she do all that. But the way I say is like one of the things she taught me is that when you're talking to somebody, to think of like a transparent shield being in front of you, where you can like see the words coming, but they don't hit you. So it's like when talking to somebody, to feel it as if it's a shield, like not. So those are kind of like the three things I keep. Like, it's not my problem outside of here. You get your slot, and that's it. And then the invisible shield. Those are like my three top ones I use to like disconnect myself. And then also remembering to have a full life outside of being a therapist and have other things that don't have one thing to do with therapy or helping anyone.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you that a little bit later, so we could get into that to see like what some hobbies are, what you do when you aren't, saving lives. But I do want. You could be saving some lives. So
that's true. I don't know.
I'm glad Rad brought up Sean because I want to stay here for a little bit, right? Because Sean posted on Facebook. It's not new. It's not breaking no news, Rad. She posted that she's pretty much on maternity leave. Luckily for her, right, Sean has her own business. But for Black women that are pregnant, that do have stressful, work environments, on our list, it's the maternal death rate of Black women have. So we're gonna cover that later in detail as well. But for those women that carrying that stress from work, they're pregnant, do you think they should, like, once you get pregnant, far enough along, that you should sit down and talk to somebody because you don't want that stress carrying you while you carrying a child?
Yeah, I fully believe that, especially because not even necessarily like stress in that moment, but also like things that you have dealt with generationally as well. Like, it's good to start talking about that, because the thing is, like, once the child grows and starts to get bigger, and like, you hear stuff like, well, they can now hear your voice, or they can move around, or stuff like that. Like, the child is experiencing everything that the mother is. So everything that the mother is feeling, that child fully feels it. It's like all the hormonal changes, the body changes, all that. The kid is in there. And so it's like, if you're going through stress while pregnant, it's literally changing how your child's brain is forming due to stress. And it continues to, if anytime you have any trauma or anything happens to you, it rewires your brain.
Wow.
That's deeper than I thought.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So like, if you look at, like, they do, I told Mikey I was a nerd before we started this.
No,
so
I'm glad.
You look at brain scans, if you look at brain scans from like what they would consider like a neurotypical brain, like a normal brain, like, and you put it against people who have mental health issues, there are literal physical changes you can see in where things are in people's brains and what developed and what didn't, because of what happened while they were in utero or as child, teenagers, adults. Like, when something traumatic happens, it affects the way that your brain functions, which then affects the way that your body functions.
It's all connected, right?
Whew.
That's deep, man.
Sorry, I
That's
didn't
deep.
come. Therapy.
So no, it's all good. No, I appreciate that. So let's get over to Black men, right? We have a sports show, so most of our audience are men. So I do want to talk about men. Is there a disparity in like the difference just in Black men versus Black women that seek out therapy?
Black women are way more likely to seek out therapy than Black men. Black men are very much they are, like, when you look at the numbers for like therapy practices and like what the people are, Black men are literally the last one that will ever come to therapy. And it's what can be hard in the Black communities because of all the things that are going on. Y'all are taught from a young age, like, yo, you gotta be tough, you gotta be protective, you gotta make sure whoever you with is straight, you need to be on alert, you need to do all these things. But nobody's really teaching you, like, you feel alert because you have anxiety. You feel sad because you saw your friend die. Like, nobody is telling you these things. So you put it up as like, well, I need to be a man, and nobody need to see me weak because I'm not weak. We need to, like, all the, like, macho type stuff. And it's like, so I don't want to go to nobody and have them tell me how to live my life or tell me what to do, because Black men have had to be like that in the community. They had to be protective because of the stuff that was happening and what's been going on. Like, to this day, y'all probably know, like Nanny house. Nanny has lived in that house 50 something years. She lived there forever at this point. Yeah. But to this day, everybody know that no matter what happens anywhere, Nanny is one of the houses that are protected. All these years later, everybody knows still, this is the area that is protected. And so, like, they do that. Like, my cousins, they come and they visit Nanny, check out how she doing, see what's going on the street. Like, so it's like, you live a life like that, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to be able to just be in touch with your feelings and talk about what's going on and how you scared. You like, no, I'm not about to talk about, like, no, I'm not, because it's like, you'll come over, like, say to grandmother's house, be like, oh, hey, Nanny, how you doing? Get a plate, sit around for a little bit. But you won't say, I wanted to come check on you because I was worried. I was anxious that something could happen. I had some anxiety about you. You'll say, I just wanted to check up on you.
Yeah. So, Rad, let me say this before you ask your question. But it's funny that you say that, right? Because, like, we grew up in the hood, but, like, me and Rad wasn't out there gangbanging, as you know, whatever. But it's still times that when me and Angie is out, she catch me, like, just checking the area. Like, I'm seeing who walking in, who going there, and, like, my head on a swivel, because that's how I was when you go to Cortland Corner store and you can stay there for more than 2 minutes. You better know who's coming and going. When we inside the club, you better know who's behind you, like, who's looking at you funny. And I still, to this day, I still carry that same who here, who where, checking me. And Angie like, hey, babe, you good? Relax. And I'm like, no, I can't stop it. And it's not that I'm being tough. It's not that I'm, like, being cautious. It's me, like, being anxious and, like, almost scared. And I always have to know who's around. And the fact that I carry that, I can imagine the people that was really out there and what they deal with every day.
Yeah. So, like, what?
PTSD.
So what I was just about to say. So what you're describing is textbook PTSD, and PTSD.
Wow, shit! I got PTSD. Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh,
free therapy. Yo, free therapy. You got to charge it for this. You got to charge it for this. He's learning about himself. Yeah.
So it's like
learning stuff and everything.
Yeah, PTSD is very, very prevalent in the hood, but they just call it bad behavior. They don't get the kids help. They just like, oh, well, they just acting out in school. They just doing this, and it's like, well, did you check why the kid is acting out? Did you check what kind of environment? Because, like, even though y'all wasn't gangbanging, y'all still was a group of Black dudes hanging out together, and y'all know how people are. When they see a group of Black dudes, they just assume y'all to no good. And y'all just like, yo, we just trying to get food. Like, what? Like, we just trying to get chicken wings. Like, why? But there always is that. And so because you're like that, you have to be aware. And, like, you didn't gangbang, but you probably knew some gangbangers.
Yeah,
so
I was right next to him.
Yeah. You wasn't in the house, but you was next door to the house. And so it's like you still can get trauma through that, because when you hanging with them, then hanging with that person, you're like, look, I gotta be, because I know he be out here, so I gotta make sure, like, where we going, who he bringing, what's driving? Going on.
Duke, I'm not getting a car with you, Duke. You're not driving. Exactly. Okay.
Like, yeah, because like that's how it starts small. And then it just goes because a part of post-traumatic stress disorder is that there are anxious symptoms of, like, so what you described is called hypervigilance. So it's like when you're in a place and you like, okay, I need to know where my exits at, who's in my general area. If I'm in this side of the bar, who over there, what's going on? And it's hypervigilance, and it's a part of PTSD, and it's protective, because it's like, I got to be ready before they get me. So that way, if I see something about to pop off over there, I know that there's an exit right down there, and I know I can get the fuck out as quickly as I possibly can in case I need to, or if I need to, or for both of y'all, if we need to get our women out and then handle some business. Like, so you automatically you're taught of that, and all of us are. Because like you said, you in Cortland, the corner store, I'm in there for a minute and 30 seconds. And then I'm like, what you want? If I can't find it within the first minute I'm in there, you ain't getting it.
It's so funny because every time you go in there, you just know. It's like a feeling when you walk, like, dude, like, is it even worth the chips? I want it. Is this worth it? And you go in there every time, like, man, let me hurry up and just get these chips.
Just get out of there.
Like, you know, get out of here real quick. But
I'm gonna hire you.
See, like, man, you drive it away like, man, what's that worth? This 50 cents? I don't
like,
know, you felt alive. I don't know what it was.
It's like a little rush. It's a little rush.
Yeah,
like,
rush.
I still got it. Yeah, so a lot of the stuff you're describing is PTSD, which is very prevalent. And what a lot of people don't know as well is that outside of trauma, you can also have secondary trauma. So what secondary trauma is, you didn't necessarily witness the event, but you heard about it, or was your cousin or somebody that you're close to. You weren't direct, like say you saw somebody get shot. You weren't shot, but you saw it. Like that's traumatized. Like you don't actually have to be shot to be traumatized by the event, because say somebody is shot inside of a store. So the person who's shot obviously has trauma, but then there's the trauma of all the other people while they're in there. The cashiers, because they're afraid. The other people are in there. What other mental health stuff they have going on. Some people may have been in a house with violence. And so there's that one trauma branches off to so many more. And we don't realize that all the time. Because like I wasn't out there gangbanging. I've been the biggest nerd my whole life. I'm a nerd and a geek, like to the point where like I'm at the level of like I dress up and go to Comic-Con. So that's like a different level of like that's nerd. Cool. And I don't feel bad about it at all. So it's like, so me, I definitely wasn't out there doing that. You saw us. I was in any house eating freebies on the porch. But
hey, it took Cortland. That took some strength to you on the porch.
That took something for sure. For me to walk down to your nanny house, when you say, yo, I'm down the street, for me to cross Cortland to Delavan, that took a little something for me to even walk. So yeah, you're right. Wow.
Yeah, like I wasn't doing nothing, but like I heard the stories of everything was coming on. You clearly know my family, so that's all I need to say. The end. There's Mike, I don't need to say
shout out to the fan. Hey, I got a lot of situations because they're fam. Shout out to your fam.
Yeah. So like, there's a lot of stuff that like I didn't see, but they saw it. Like I remember, is it Devontae? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yes. So like when that first happened, like all of my cousins like reaction to that, like that really like fucked all them up, but nobody talked about it. They were just like, rest in peace, my mans, I'm gonna miss him, whatever. But nobody is talking about the fact that I think one or two of them actually saw it. Two of them actually saw it. Then it's like you hear the bullets, you see that he's dead. There's so much stuff. But after all that happened, nobody gonna talk about it. Nobody gonna talk about the fact that you just saw a really good friend of yours get shot. You heard a gun go off. You felt afraid for your own life as well as the lives of the people around you. But they just write it off like, oh well, no, it's fine. He's dead, and we just go back. But it's like, how many dudes people been killed? And like in the hood, they just like, oh, you just move on. But we don't though. We don't. We just keep carrying that shit.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something that affected me big time, because I was down on the other side of Cortland shooting dice with him maybe 30 minutes before. And the only reason we left is because we was going to the CBR, the motorcycle club. We was going to a party. So I went down the street, me and Nut, we all went down to my house for me to get changed. So we on the porch chilling. I'm like, all right, let's go down the other side of Cortland, meet up with them boys. We all gonna go together. And Tony was like, hold on, give me like 15 minutes. Like I just got settled. I don't feel like walking. And we are like, Tony, let's go, bro. We gotta go. Let's get down there, shoot some dice, and we out. As soon like 15 minutes go by, all right, let's go. As soon as we got off the porch and started walking down to the corner, all you heard was pop, 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 pop. And we were like, those fireworks, those guns? And to find out that it was Devontae, who we was just with 30, 45 minutes before, and to think that we could have been walking down there if it wasn't for Tony, that does something to me constantly, even when I see his picture, when I hear his name, because like that could have been me. That could have been somebody, and that fucks with me a lot. And I probably do need to talk to somebody about that because I do carry that around with me everywhere I go.
So it's like, so when people think of PTSD, they always think of soldiers at war. So imagine that situation if you were at war. So it's the same thing that happens to them. They'll be out doing stuff with people that are in their unit, whatever. Then they go back, they're like, all right, I'm gonna go and get some food, whatever. And the people are like, okay, well, I'm gonna go, finish the shift. See them 10 minutes later, they find out that they people just got, the whole thing got blew up.
Stepped on a landmine or something. Yeah.
Then a landmine, it's just gone. And you like, I just saw this person 10 minutes ago. So why is that PTSD validated? But seeing something like that, like you just saw your friend 15 minutes ago and now he's gone. But because it's systemic stuff with America, because any type of mental health struggles or things that go on white people are always valid. For Black people, it isn't always like that. Like when crack came around, everybody crackheads and crack whores and welfare queens.
Just say no.
But then when white people got addicted to heroin, now it's an opioid crisis. So it's like, it's the same thing when it comes to mental health. It's like you just supposed to be able to see things like that and move on. But the soldier can come home and people are like, oh, well, he needs therapy. If you go and shoot up a story like, oh, well, he saw his friends, he lost his friend at war, whatever, which is bad, to be clear. But also that should still be given to you as well, because you lost your friend. 15-minute window changed your entire life.
Yeah, it wasn't Afghanistan, but it's my street. Like I walked past that corner, I had to see the bullet holes in the window in the store for years without anybody ever coming to do something. A constant reminder of what happened that day. Whoo, Rad, change the subject, man.
All right, let's try to help. Like me personally, I don't to have a therapist. I don't seek therapy or not that, but I do try to do some work on myself, right? I do sittings. I do try to meditate. I do some like self work where I have like a daily task for myself, just to help me out. So is it little things, because the Black men not trying to go see therapy, for like Mike who haven't gone to see, my other friends who haven't gone to see, is it little things that they can do themselves at home, you know what I mean, that maybe they can help themselves, maybe that can help them lead to going further to talk to a therapist, you know what I mean? Maybe they need to start doing something themselves to help them, to open up some type of door, you know what I mean? So what are those things that they can do for themselves?
So it is, because the thing is, thank you, Rad, for bringing that up, because that's actually very important, because therapy is once a week for like an hour. I always tell my clients, I was like, you see me once a week for an hour. The other 6 days or however many hours, I'm not there. So this is a good hour, but it's all those hours that are good for you. So one of the things we can do, especially with all of us being in Corona, is and I know it's something we all hate, and now sometimes it can be hard since we're all at home, to have some loose version of a schedule. Like, so not everybody, I'm not saying it needs to be at 9 o'clock, 9 to 10, I do this, 9:40, like none of that, but just daily tasks that you can do that help to better yourself and have self-care. Because a lot of times we always think self-care is just like, well, I do face masks and I take baths and I read books, but it's like self-care is also making sure you get 3 meals a day, making sure you take any medications if you have to, making sure that you at least put on clean clothes every day. Even if you don't shower, at least put on clean clothes every day to make it feel like
I advise people to shower.
Yeah, I mean, but I obviously advise to shower too, but like for people who struggle with that due to mental health, so making sure, understanding that anything you do is to take care of yourself, to make sure that you're okay. So it's like taking that time, also taking time away from screens, because we all know we in front of screens 7,000 hours a day. I am us is me. So I'm also speaking to myself. Is that so? Like, take at least 30 minutes to an hour where you do something that has nothing to do with the screen. So because like with the screens, it just like it overwhelms our brain after so long. So like 30 minutes to an hour without any sort of screen time. That means if that's read a book, walk around your neighborhood, depending on where you live. If you like, some people like knit and stuff like that, like find a hobby that has nothing to do with technology. If you have a partner, making sure that you are checking in with them as well, because a lot of times, and you two probably know, is like your girl know you ain't good before you don't know you good.
100%.
Yep.
100%. Like, you know, like she know, like she be like something wrong, and you like I'm fine, and then like 4 hours later, I was like,
I'm good.
You right.
Yo, that's what I go to. I'm Gucci.
I'm in a corner talking to myself, bro. You're not good.
You are not
Screaming
good.
at yourself.
I'm moving. I'm dragging my feet, slamming doors. Like I'm good. No, you're not good.
You're
No,
not
good.
So
like checking.
that's funny. Go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, you're fine. So like checking in if you have a partner as well, because when you're in a relationship and you're going through this kind of stuff, you two have to check in with each other regularly. So it's like, especially during Corona, you and your partner need to check in at least once a week to see how each other is doing and see how you can help each other be better. Because mental health, we can't do it by ourselves. That's why my whole field was created, because they figured out, wait, people can't do this by themselves all the time. And so like having your partner, they're also a person that can help you, because with the partner, what you can do is something, it's called co-regulation. So basically what that is that it's when you're in a relationship and you help regulate each other. So normally we see it as like codependency, like people are like, they can't live without their partner, they can't think without them, can't breathe without them, like everything, like their whole life is their partner. But what this means for co-regulation, it means that you two come in with emotions and they're both validated, instead of one person just being like, well, what do you need to make you happy? What can I do for you? What about this? It's like, no, what do we need? What can we do? And then that can help too when you're in a bad space, to have that regulation in your relationship, because as we all know, if your relationship ain't going good, ain't shit else going good at all. Nothing else going on anywhere. You know, if you, and if I was you, and if I was Sean, you like, look, I can't do nothing else today. Don't nobody ask me to pick up no spoon because we mad at each other.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So I have,
you know, like, I'm mad.
Yeah, I do. I have 2 questions. So my first one is, as far as like couple therapy, is that something that people you should just do as a couple, and not wait for y'all to get divorced or break up?
Not wait for the trauma. Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
But so do you recommend that people just go just to hey, check in, make sure they're good, or some people kind of deal with whatever they're dealing with themselves and just kind of help the relationship better by you being better yourself and her being better, and they're coming together and they're both better?
Yeah. For me, I would say I can't really tell. I always say like, I can't really tell anybody what to do, but it's like, if you look at your relationship and you feel like there is some things going on, or some unhappiness or miscommunications or things that you just can't get past, then it could be a good idea to go to therapy. But even before that, just if you've been in a relationship for a while, it could be a good idea just to make sure like, yo, is we still on the same life path? Because sometimes people do that. You see them relationships, they be together 7, 8 years, and you just like, what y'all doing? And they like, we don't know. And it's like, what you mean? Y'all got 4 kids in a house. What you mean you don't know what's going on? Like what?
I'm over here. She over there. We here. We good. We good.
Yes, exactly. So
they look at each other. You good? I'm good. You good? I'm good. All right, we good.
All right. So let's get personal for a second, right?
Yeah.
Because we know each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. So Rad, me and Rad both had high school sweethearts, right? Rad got 2 kids with her, expected 1 engaged. Me and my high school sweetheart at the time, I don't know if can you be high school sweetheart if you didn't work out? I don't know, but we broke up. As you know, we didn't work out, and I guess I never really dealt with that head on. For people that's with somebody 5 years, somebody that get divorced after 30 years, so right, because we talked about Black trauma and we talked about Black men having their trauma in the hood, but people have relationships that they need to deal with too that they don't ever deal with.
Yes.
So people do stuff like that, like after a long breakup, even if you were together for a month, I don't know. So people go see somebody after a breakup just to talk about stuff.
Yeah. It can be a good idea. I'm an advocate for couples therapy and going to couples therapy at whatever point you feel is right. Because when we come into a relationship, we all bring our own shit. Everybody got baggage. If anybody's like, I'm going with somebody that ain't got no baggage, then guess what? They bags is on 3 different planes. That's why. But like, so we all have baggage, and being in a relationship, you'll do and say things that you're just like, where the fuck did that come from? And then you go to therapy and you're like, oh wait, because my great uncle treated his son like that. And then it came down through the generations of this is how we respond to this incident, or this is the way we respond, or even personal stuff you've been through, like in past relationships. Like you be like, nah, because when she talked to me like that, then she about to have an attitude. So now I'm gonna have an attitude first. That way we ain't gonna get there. Even though this is a completely separate person, but it's still that same reaction because you never really dealt with what exactly is going on. We see like behavior. All is behavior is unspoken hurt. That's all behavior is.
Wow.
So like when you got somebody coming at you and they're like, you ain't shit, I don't like this, blah blah blah, there's so much more going in. It's like, well, you don't never clean up, you always just got everything going. It's like, what's really under there is just, I want to feel like you hear me, like you see me, like you understand that you are connected in this, you understand. Like there's so many more things. So I personally think couples therapy is perfect, especially if you like are going to get married, like got kids and stuff. I'm the type, like, first of all, I don't want no kids, so strike one there. But like me and my boyfriend, like we want to like get married, but it's like when we get engaged, we talked about like possible couples therapy, and not that there's anything wrong, like we're very happy or whatever, but it's like everybody bring their own shit. Like you bring, like you said, like the stuff you went through with Devontae and all that, you bring that all into your relationship, and now that's turned into hypervigilance for you. So your girlfriend's like, can you calm down? And you're like, no, I can't.
I can't. No, I'm protecting us.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I definitely advocate for people definitely going to therapy, because it's just, because the thing is, you can always have a good relationship. You have a good relationship, good. But the thing is, going to therapy can help you have a healthy, long-lasting relationship. Because we don't think about that when we're like, that trauma you went through with Devontae, you're like, it happened at this specific period in life. Yes, but it didn't just stay there. Everything that you accumulate, it follows you throughout all of that. And so it's like, I'm a full on, I don't do couples therapy because no thank you. But definitely,
right,
100%,
No.
I'm a full on advocate for it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, because because it goes into obviously black men not going to the hospital, right? Because they don't want to go because they think something's gonna be wrong. But you need to go to check on it to see if something wrong. Like, and I equate that to therapy. You wanna just go there just to get a physical, a mental physical. You know what I mean? Just to be like,
Yeah.
I'm good. And then is anything even starting to harbor? Or no, I'm good. Just even if like, no, y'all good, y'all healthy. Even if it's not nothing y'all need specific, but just to help y'all, to keep going. So I think I would advocate that too, and I'm sure me and Sean would do that together at some time, because I'm really interested in doing therapy just to see where we both at. See what we, because as being in a relationship, I know she's probably holding on to some things that I don't know that I let go. You know what I mean, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So it's like we should go see what that is before it becomes something. It might not be nothing now, but it might become something when something similar happen again. And I'm like, whoa, you still holding on to that? You know what I mean? So I definitely go.
And we got all our shit from our own lives, shit that's been passed down through us. Like that generational trauma shit is real. Like people, we be like, man, why do my family do this? And then you start like for real opening them doors and looking back, and you start to realize like, wait a minute, this is why all these people is like this, because they didn't deal with this. Like nobody talks about the funny uncle that they're like, don't let the girls be around. Nobody talk about it, but everybody know. And then that carries on into generations of like, oh, we don't talk about that. Don't nobody talk about, we don't talk about him and what he do. When he come around, just make sure you like keep all the girls away from him, make sure all the girls got pants on, like all of that. And that,
every black family that I know got one of them. It's just crazy, and it's like it's like
it's like it's a part of being black, and it's not.
Yeah, it's like everybody got that uncle that that's too handsy or that do too much. You know what I mean? It's like, and it got real stories behind it. It's like it's crazy. It's crazy.
But if they never talk about it, then
all the black movies is like a funny joke. You know what I mean? It's become, you know what I mean? So, but it's a real serious thing that need to be talked about for sure.
Because it's stuff like that happens. So it's like, so the funny uncle messed with your mom, but we're not going to talk about it because we don't talk about that kind of stuff. So then your mom carries that shame because nobody is talking about it and that upset around it. And then your mom gets pregnant with you. And then you come out for somebody who had that type of shame put on them. And then you come out and you try to figure out why your mom's so mad and why she don't get along with the family. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? And that's because there is two other, it was your mama and then your mama got hurt by this person. And then you carrying that weight from something that you wasn't even a part of. Like, and a lot of people, and I feel like for Black people especially, generational trauma is very important to think about and to know how it affects you. Because like in my family, there was some stigma against like getting pregnant like pretty early, which clearly we should have with my family. But anyways, like there was a lot of stigma. And for so long when I was younger, I was like, what is the problem? And then I get older and realize because Nanny had her first kid at 15. But we don't know that. We just know all the, I mean, obviously, like we know in the Black community, the boys didn't get anything. So all of us girls, they like, make sure you're on birth control. Don't let him trick you. Make sure you bring your own kind, like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's because my grandmother had a baby so young. That now everybody from then on, like no baby before you can like afford them. And it's like, well, I didn't have a baby at 15. So why am I, not that I don't, to be clear, my grandmother's wonderful. I love her and she's a family to everybody. But like that, something as small as that is like, she got pregnant young, then now has carried all the way down until now. Like, wow. So we don't think about that generational, it come to every barbecue and all the times y'all together and all the stories and everybody's like, oh, these stories are so funny. And then you go home and you're like, wait a minute, some of these stories ain't right. Hold on a second. Hold on,
Yeah. That's heavy. This was heavy. You got anything else? Anything else you want to ask?
Nah, man. I think that was great, man. I think that was great. I think we talked about a lot of stuff. I got a lot of my answers I wanted, man. I'm happy that we had you. I'm happy that we interviewed you.
Yo, 100%. Especially right with our audience, you know, being the majority Black men, especially from Buffalo, we all know somebody who's been, you know, killed by gun violence, and that's gun violence is something that's on our list as well. And we all know somebody who's been killed by gun violence, whether it's just somebody in passing, whether it's somebody you're super close to, family member, whatever the case may be. We all know somebody, and we carry that. But right, I don't know. I don't want to call it like a badge of honor, but it's like, oh yeah, I know somebody that did this. I know somebody that's in jail doing life. I know somebody, like, it's not good to know people that been killed, the people that are killing people, and we just act like it's all good, but not realizing what it's doing to us, our body, our mental health. That's why we got high blood pressure. That's why we got all these physical issues, because it's coming. A lot of it is coming from here.
Yeah, it's all coming from here.
And a lot of times we do kind of self-medicate with whether it's weed, alcohol, to deal with the trauma versus actually just talking about it.
Yeah. Because some people legitimately need, like, outside of drugs and alcohol, like people are using to medicate it. Some of those people probably would actually thrive a lot better if they actually went, sought help, and then got on some type of mood stabilizing medication or anti-anxiety or antidepressant. Some people, antipsychotics. We also know the family members that you like. The elevator don't go all the way to the top, do it?
It's stronger,
yeah. It stops like mid-floor, and then it tries, but it just doesn't quite get up. But it's like if they went to a therapist and got on meds, that maybe could change their life. But we've gotten so used to we're self-sufficient. That's the word I've been looking for this whole time. As a Black community, we are taught we have to be self-sufficient within ourselves, within our community. And so we thrive on that. Like, we thrive on the fact that, like, yeah, I know all these people, but we still out here. We still good. We still living. We got families. We doing all this stuff, but never addressing the self-sufficiency and why it was very helpful to, like, survive through all these years. Like, we had to be self-sufficient to make it through so many things, like slavery and all that. Like, it's a lot of it wouldn't have, like, all that stuff wouldn't happen if Harriet Tubman wasn't self-sufficient. People wouldn't have got up. So, like, but it's come to the point where it becomes detrimental, because then nobody wants to reach outside the circle because of the fear. There's very valid fear because of what's happened, but then also a lot of imagined fear, because it's like, well, what if they do something? Have they done it yet though? Like, well, it's all the white people. Is it all the white people? Like,
yeah.
To be clear, is it the majority of white people? Yes, but not all.
All right, so I don't have anything. I think you answered a lot of my questions. I'm honestly kind of scared to even ask any more questions because I don't know how I'm gonna go throughout the rest of my day with just hearing just the fact that you told me not like you told me I have PTSD and I kind of knew that, but just hearing you say like, hey, that's like hypervigilance, that's PTSD, like. I need to go see somebody. I need to go talk to somebody. I've been on the fence about it, and I'm kind of sold. So if I think Rad gonna go. If I can convince Mills and Priest to go, I think that's 4 right there. Just to go talk to somebody, whether you stay in it long term, but let's just see what it is.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is like people think we're going to therapy and everything or taking meds. I'm like, you don't have to stay. Nobody's forcing you to come to a therapist unless you're in some court-appointed program, and that's your own issue. But most therapy is voluntary, and so it's like you also don't have to go be like, oh, I need to be in for the next 3 years. People go for 3 months, 6 months, a year. I had clients I had for like 2 months, and then they were like, all right, I'm good. I've had clients that I've had my whole time. So my longest client, I've had her 4 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 years. But I've had people all like I just got a new client, so I've had her for 2 weeks, and then my longest client I've had 4 years. Wow. So it like kind of just all depends, and just for everybody that's there, they think therapy looks like it does on TV. One, it does not look like that. So let's start there. It is not sitting, laying on the couch. Like some people do that, but those are like old white men that does psychoanalytics that like is just a bunch of old white men shit, really. That's really what it is. But those of us that are modern, we just like sit in chairs. I mean, obviously like this now, but it's like also understanding like the stigma on therapy is going to be there, but for you, what's the biggest fear? A stigma versus your entire life? What's more important for you? That stigma or your entire life could be different. Which one is more important for you?
I do have one quick question.
Yes.
Is there like some studies or some whatever that black men do better with black men and black women do better with black women? Or as long as you're talking to somebody, it really that doesn't matter. That doesn't really come into play.
It depends on the person, honestly.
Okay.
To some people are okay with talking to like my therapist, she's a white woman. And it doesn't like bother me, like she's really good for me. But I know like certain people need that, like I need somebody who looks like me to talk to me. But the only reason I have this white lady is because she's very like obviously on the spectrum of the good ones. It's like black people having good ones. The white people got good ones too.
Yeah.
I'm about to say shout out to Shelby and Alicia.
Tara, shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. We need more of y'all out there. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to Matty Ice.
Yeah.
So
like that's what, yeah.
Are you accepting clients, right? If anybody heard, well, people want to hear this, but if they like, yo, she was dope. She talked like me. She looked like me. She looked like my sister. She like whoever. I can talk to her. Are you accepting new clients right now?
Unfortunately, due to licensing and stuff, I'm actually only able to have clients that are in Mass. So if you're in Massachusetts, then yes. But if not, then unfortunately, we can't go across state lines because states are stingy to each other.
Yeah.
We see how that obviously has gone for us.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So if anybody listens to this in Boston, please hit her up. She's available. She's dope. She's amazing. I vouch for her. I have a ton of free sessions on the Ave, just sitting on the porch for hours, just talking about whether it's school, whether it's women, like we chopped it up plenty of times. So I advise everybody to just go talk to somebody. I tell my friends all the time, like, yes, I would talk to you, I would listen, because I'm kind of that person that a lot of my friends come to. But I'm like, I'm not an expert. I'm just telling you, how I feel, what I think. But that's not really coming from anywhere, any good place. I'm just spitballing. So please, like, your friends are dope, your family is dope, but go see somebody licensed, right? I wouldn't tell my friends to come to me for I can train them in the gym physically. Like, bro, I'm not a trainer. Go see, find a trainer. And I'm not a mental health therapist, so please go find one of those.
Yes, and there are a lot of good ones also. And one of the biggest things is, and I've heard this so many times, is sometimes people go see one therapist and then they give up because they're like, well, this therapist didn't work for me. It's okay. It may take a couple people. It took me until my third one. Like I had to go to two other ones. I was like, and then I got to this one and I was like, okay, she's wonderful. And I kept her. But it took going through two other people. So also like if the first person isn't great, don't give up because there are all kinds of therapies for all kind of people. Like I have, like for me, this is how I am as a person is how I am as a therapist. So as a therapist, I'm like cracking jokes in session and talking about politics and shit, which a lot of other clinicians don't do because they like to keep a very neutral, like who I am is who I am as a therapist. And so it's like also understanding that like that therapist just may not do your personality. Like some people need somebody who's like more quiet and meek, or somebody who's more rambunctious, or somebody who has specific trainings, or somebody who works with kids or teenagers or adults or whatever. So it's like, don't give up if the first person doesn't work or it takes a while to hear from them, because we're in the middle of Corona. My job is getting so many referrals per day. They're basically at this point begging us to take on more people. So like also give space that it may take a while to get back to you, and know that if the first one don't work out, it's okay. You can go and try another one. We all done had somebody that we like, I'm never gonna see you ever. Yeah. This was a one and done kind of thing. Like, so like just, it's out there. It's hard. I'm actually gonna send it to you, Mikey. There's a list of that you can go on that I actually got from an Instagram page that I follow, that like if you're looking for a Black or brown therapist, it has a bunch of different websites you can go to to help look for one. So if you specifically want somebody who's Black, I'll send you that list on Facebook so that you can have that as well, because obviously I'm an advocate for mental health. So I'm just like, look, my biggest motivator is that like I don't want to look like our aunt and uncles did. Like they didn't have the help, so they couldn't get it. But now that I can get the help, I don't want to be doing the same thing they doing, which is we in our 50s and 60s still talking about stories that happened when we were 16 that like are completely irrelevant for right now, but it's just our collective trauma.
Yeah.
Like I don't want that. Like I want to be able to be a fully formed human who isn't just stuck at 16. So like it'll help you. It can help you be better.
It will help you definitely be better 100%. For sure. Wow. All right.
You want to close us out, man?
Oh man, I'm just happy that we had this time with you. You look great. Amazing. You look awesome.
Look great.
Look good. So I know you're doing good. You know what I mean? So I'm happy we got this off. So thank you for joining us. Thank you everybody, all the listeners. This was dope, man. It was therapy. It was a therapy session, man. For Mike, I know definitely for Mike. Mike convinced. I need this every week. Mike is in. Mike is in.
Angie been trying to convince me for about 3 years now. She's about to be. She either gonna be happy or hurt that you convinced me. I don't know which ones. I'm gonna find out after.
I'm gonna just say, Mikey, when you break this to her that you want to go to therapy, I would suggest you go to a store, because Valentine's Day was just yesterday, but I'm gonna need you to go and get some more chocolates and have fresh flowers, and then tell her that way. And don't tell her where I live at. That way she can't come after me.
For sure. All right, bet. It was great talking to you. Thank you again. Thank you again, Jamiere.
All right, everybody. Appreciate y'all.